Easy 10x Cryptos. This is NC Hammer Crypto. My name is Neil, where we keep technical analysis short and sweet. If you've been sticking along with the past videos, we've been doing very well these past couple months. And right now we're looking at Bitcoin as it's clearly in consolidation. We could draw a trend line downwards. That's not really the most important, but when this breaks this downward trend line, we can start seeing more progression upwards, as well as if you build a trend line upwards from this low. We want to stay within this triangle, and we are holding support above the 200 EMA. RSI is below the 50, which just means that we are most likely going to get some consolidation and some support. So looking at these candles right here that are from a previous all-time high, we see that it had the pullback. This would be that pullback, a little bit of consolidation upwards, maybe a little bit lower low to test that 200 EMA before pushing back up over this downward trend line and having a continuation up to 125, pull back to 120, and then beyond that. So keeping all that in mind, we're going to jump on over to render. Render is what I was talking about, and we had that nice break right over the 4.15. So I did a scalp trade, if you saw my short, that I sold right whenever we got at this 4.15, maybe a little bit lower around 4.1. And I took that money and I went over into Floki. So while I gained that 5% off of render before it did its pullback, I bought into Floki right here. Not the best entry, as we could expect a little bit of resistance, but the way I saw it is that we were breaking a pretty nice high. We were building nice support. I was mainly looking at this area while render was still going up, and I saw that we were breaking this high right here at 0.00012. Had the entry for a scalp. I believe it was a nice 7% increase right around here. And they say you can't time the top. We're pretty good at timing the top. And we had that retracement, got out of Floki real quick. However, Floki still does have a very long way to go, but it is a meme coin. So maybe put $100 in it, see what happens with it. But keeping that in mind, we're going to move on over to Doge, another meme coin, but also very nice potential. As we expected, whenever it held over the 21 cent mark, we were going to get that push on up to around 24, 25 cents, which is around a 15% increase in the past couple hours. I guess just with yesterday, it held that support and pushed up to the 24. Zooming out on Doge, they say the all-time high is $4. And looking at this, when we break and hold above this 24 cent, the next real resistance is 29 before a pullback where it went all the way down to 20 cents and then immediate takeoff all the way up here to around 40 cents and the high being around 48 cents. When it finishes out this cup and handle pattern, we see clearly that there is a massive W forming here, and we can see a continuation up to 29 and then 40 cents. So Doge is not a bad entry at the moment, even though it is pretty high. The volume is very high. We are overbought on the RSI on the 4-hour. Moving out into the daily, you can see that it is also overbought. Moving into Perpetual Protocol. Perpetual had that major push up as well as we held above the 200 EMA. And I told you to have an entry somewhere right around here when we broke that 200 EMA. And from that entry, we are currently up 27%. I don't have the biggest bag on this. However, it is holding nice support on this trend line above the 200 EMA. RSI is not in here, but Perpetual Protocol does have a very, very long way to go to hit its all-time high. When we're looking at this on the daily, it is at an absolute low. So any push over that 200 EMA, the last time we saw it push over the 200 EMA, it was around 89% increase. We are getting very close to that. We may push up, retest it before breaking back up to the $1.90. And looking at Perpetual, it definitely has a very long way to go to hit the 618, which is at $14 from 28 cents investment. So when you're comparing that to Doge, Doge is at 24 cents. They say $4. Perpetual Protocol is 28 cents. They say $14 or higher. So you kind of have to weigh the options on what is a better bet. We did render. We're going to skip XRP, XCN, XLM, do that for a different video. But looking at compound is another one I've been saying. Look at an entry as soon as we broke over this black downward trend line. It broke over it, came back to touch it roughly as support, and then held that support, consolidated, and is now holding nicely above that 200 EMA, pushing upwards. It was around, I believe, $47 when we had our entry, now at $53. Definitely a more expensive coin than the other ones, but a little bit more reliable than, you know, banking on a meme coin. So I'm just holding a bag for compound, as I believe it's high as well, over $400 for a $50 investment. Volume is picking up. RSI is pushing back into the range. We may get some support off this yellow line and then have a continuation back up to $61. Ondo, I was talking about it in a previous video. Ondo is getting a nice tailing support right here, right off the CM guppy, right on that green area where we like to see some support pushing upwards. RSI is at the 50. This is in the 1 hour, but we had our entry down here right when it broke over that downward trend line, as we have had on our previous entries. And even if it was right whenever this happened, it came back, touched that 200 EMA, went up about 40%. It's now at around 35% increase for compound, or sorry, Ondo, which is at $1. But very good utility on Ondo. It says $2.15 on this chart. I believe it is a lot higher. Good utility over the 200 EMA. It's most likely going to test that 200 EMA on the daily for support before taking off. But that's just one to keep in mind. Tornado or Tornado Cash is also looking very nice, holding well over that 200 EMA. It's testing about 12, 13, 15 times to this trend line, around $10 to $11. When this breaks and closes, like we've talked about for the past couple of days, we're going to see some astronomical gains for Tornado Cash, which you can trade on MEXC. The reference link is in the links below, or the description below. Same with Grass, Coinbase, and a few others. But that's kind of a quick overlook on these few coins. And I will do another video on XLM, XRP, Quant, and XYO, a few others. So that's it for this one. Like and subscribe if you want, and good luck. Have fun with it.